What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, CamATL. Shout out to the DFS squad. Shout out to everybody watching this video right now. Drop a like down below because I already know you're going to love it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This is for week 3 of the NFL slate on Draftkings, the plays that we love. You can also use on FanDuel. At the end of this podcast, me and Uncle Craig will be putting together a lineup for you guys, our first look lineup. We will be putting that together for you guys at the end of this podcast. So speaking of Uncle Craig, let me go ahead and bring him in for the injuries real quick. He's going to touch on the injuries, and then we're going to go ahead and get straight into the quarterbacks. Go ahead, Craig.
Oh, well, the most important injury was the one that happened to my pride with that Tyrod Taylor pick last week. I am so sorry, squad. That game did not go as we wanted it to go. Played way too much Tyrod. Yep. Anyways, all right, on to the real injuries. Here we go. LaShawn McCoy suffered a rib injury last week. I don't think he's going to play. We'll have to keep an eye on that, but their matchup this week, I don't think we're going to be going into the Buffalo game very much. Joe Mixon is going to be out for a few weeks. That's going to put Gio Bernard in play this week as a value running back. Dalvin Cook may miss. It's early in the week. We'll have to keep an eye on it. It doesn't look too serious. And then Mike Wallace for the Philadelphia Eagles got carted off the field. Looks like he's going to be done for the season possibly. Other than that, it was a pretty quiet injury week.
Thank you for the injuries, Craig. As always, guys, that is a very important thing. You always need to be aware of injuries in DFS. That is the number one most important thing that we'll look out for because there's value guys that'll pop in and start for these guys injured. Anyways, Craig, who's your top quarterback on this slate that you just must have and you would leave your wife for?
Okay, well, he was on my hall pass last week, and he is making a repeat performance, and that's going to be Patrick Mahomes, the legendary Patrick Mahomes, fellow Texan. All right, this guy, you know what they say about Texas, right? Everything's bigger in Texas, including Patrick Mahomes' stats. Yeah. All right, and fantasy scores.
Crazy.
All right, that dude is just lighting the world on fire. He has played 3 games in his short NFL career so far. He has not had a home game yet. He is coming home. Patrick Mahomes is coming home, and I think he's going to light the world on fire.
Yeah, no, dude, I completely agree. I think he's going to be a chalky quarterback this week. I think a lot of people are going to flock to him. And for good reason. The San Francisco-Kansas City game's a great game, man, so good choice. My guy I'm going to go with, I love this New Orleans-Atlanta game. I know we always go Drew Brees when he's at home in his dome, like Craig says. But he is on the road and in a dome still. So I'm still going to go Drew Brees here. Atlanta's offense is just going to get hotter as the year goes on. They don't seem to be clicking on all cylinders yet, but we know how deadly that offense can be. They added on Calvin Ridley. I know Devontae Freeman is out, but Tevin Coleman is more than capable of carrying a load. And I just love that offense, which means Drew Brees is going to be having to throw to keep up. I think this game is one of the shootout games of the week. I think it's going to be a very good game, and in Atlanta, in a dome, no weather concerns, just full offense, no defense. Neither team is good defensively. So, yeah, Drew Brees at a $600 discount from Mahomes is very, very sexy. Craig, who's your next guy you like?
Yeah, I can't even fight you on that. That's a great call with Brees. But I'm going to go some run back against Mahomes. All right, right now Kansas City is just getting torched by quarterbacks and wide receivers trying to keep up with our boy Mahomes. Yeah. So next on my list, my second best quarterback, still in that same game, that 54.5 total. And I would bet the over. I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair, and that's Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo to try to play catch up and keep up with Patrick Mahomes. I love the situation this week. I just love both of these guys. They're both in my hall pass.
I fully feel you, dude. In a shootout as well. I think that's the same kind of situation as New Orleans, Atlanta. I think that game is a shootout. Garoppolo so far this year is, he hasn't been too big of a DFS productive quarterback, but this is a matchup where I think he can fully exploit. The cornerbacks, the secondary is horrible for Kansas City, yet their offense is firing crazy. Garoppolo should have a good week. I'm with you on that one. I'm going to go with Matt Ryan. Okay, I talked about Drew Brees, but I just love this game in general. Matt Ryan is too cheap, to be real with you. He had a great week last week, and now
Yep.
he's just too cheap at 5.7. Absolutely love Matt Ryan at home in Atlanta. I love pairing him with my boy Julio Jones in cash games this week against New Orleans. Like I said, New Orleans defense, coming into the year, people were like, oh man, New Orleans defense is going to be solid. I even thought it. But so far, it's abysmal. It's what we're used to seeing with New Orleans. They just don't have much of a defense. They give up a lot of points and then have to keep up. So I love Matt Ryan to torch that secondary. Craig, who you got for your third guy?
Okay. My third guy, I'm gonna look for some value here, and man, I've been surprised at the performance for this next quarterback on my list. But Joe Flacco, all right, he's been consistent so far in his first two games. Man, he's dropping that 21.7 and a 23.8 so far in his game logs. It's not going to light the world on fire, but at 5,400 at home, which he's known to have extreme home and away splits, I like Flacco's potential in this game with Denver this week. Denver's defense is not what it once was, and I just think that he has potential to give us another 20 to 25 point outing, and at 5,400, sign me up for some cash or GPPs.
Yeah, I think I agree a little more with the GPP side just because Flacco's just so up and down. But one plus, I mean, when he's at home, he's a beast. We know that. So he's solid at home. It's a solid option at 5.4. I like that. I'm going to go with Alex Smith against Green Bay. One thing we know about Aaron Rodgers is he's going to put some fucking points on the board. Okay? We know
Yes.
that with Aaron Rodgers, he's going to put points up in a hurry. And what does that mean? Alex Smith's going to have to air it out. I think he has a very solid game. And at that price of 5.8, he is definitely a good cash option as well. Craig, who you got for your last quarterback option here?
My last quarterback option, and I'm going to go even lower. I'm going to take my boy, Dallas Cowboy, Dak Prescott. All right. I was encouraged by what I saw from this Sunday night game. The designed runs that they put in for Dak last week, I mean, they need to do this. They don't have a good wide receiver core, okay? But if they're going to design runs for him like that, it's going to open up some play action, and it's going to open up some run pass option for Dak Prescott. And I wouldn't be surprised to see another bomb to Tavon Austin with them trying to stack the box against Zeke. And we know that Seattle is just a shell of their former selves. I like Dak in this matchup against Seattle. I think he's going to be able to take advantage of this Seattle defense without Richard Sherman no longer on the team. So sign me up for some Dak at 5,100. I really like this play as a GPP.
I'm with you, dude. I mean, honestly, like, I think Dak does turn it around eventually. I think he's one of those guys with a solid floor most of the time. When he does
You,
get comfortable with these receivers he has.
you don't even need to stack him with a wide receiver. The way that they're spreading the ball around
Yeah.
and the way that he throws it out of the backfield, he really can be an independent play just as a money-saving option to
Right.
let you build up
I mean,
elsewhere.
and obviously, guys, we're not. Obviously, the top guys we mentioned are our favorites. We're just giving you some value options down here. Okay. My last value guy that I like is going to be Jared Goff at 5.9. I love the receivers Goff has in his arsenal. We all obviously know that Todd Gurley's going to be used heavily, yes. And normally I don't love to lean on quarterbacks who really depend on the run so much. But Goff has shown that he can do some deadly things. And against the Chargers, I think the Chargers are able to put points on the board here against the Rams. And I think that it is going to have the Rams throwing fairly well. Okay, I mean, the Rams had a good matchup against Arizona, absolutely blew them out, but still was airing it out. So it makes me feel comfortable with going Jared Goff at home in Los Angeles against the Chargers at only 5.9. I like Goff for sure as my cheap value guy to play. All right, let's go ahead and get straight into running backs. Craigs, who's your number one favorite running back on for this week?
All right, he's almost made a permanent uh, move onto my hall pass list, and that is our boy Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is he's so good. He seems like a man amongst boys out there, the way that he's playing right now. I know this last game was a little bit disappointing, all right, but that's like a floor performance for him as long as Mark Ingram's out. That is like the worst
Agreed.
he can possibly do. 13 attempts. He got 6 targets, caught all 6 of them for 53 yards. That is the floor. Okay,
Right.
in this matchup against the Atlanta Falcons,
Beautiful.
who make you throw the ball to your running back. They are known that is a weakness of theirs.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey, okay, had 15 targets, 14 receptions for 102 yards last week against Atlanta. Just imagine what Alvin Kamara could do, and especially if Atlanta can score the way that they scored against Carolina. This could be the shootout that we were expecting last week. I'm going to just chalk that up to that Cleveland Brown defense being a lot better than we were ready for.
Yeah.
Okay? And it really slowed the game flow slower and made that score go lower than what we were expecting. I don't expect the same from this. I am expecting another 55-point day out of this game.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Alvin Kamara is a beast play against Atlanta. Like I say every single week, Atlanta gives up a ton to pass catching backs. Man, I said it of McCaffrey for the week 2 video. I said the same thing about McCaffrey last week. It's the same situation. McCaffrey had a strong showing, and Kamara is better than McCaffrey. Kamara was getting he wasn't getting much through the air. But when I was seeing him run between the tackles, he was really putting in some hard effort. So I absolutely loved it. All right. For my second running back that I love is Christian McCaffrey. It's just without Kelvin Benjamin there on that offense, with the injuries that they deal with in Carolina, Christian McCaffrey is just getting so many targets. And Draftkings is PPR, so I wouldn't overthink it. I think this game stays close. I think this is a great game for Christian McCaffrey. I am not going to sleep on him at 7-8. A pass-catching back, a PPR monster on Draftkings. You have to consider Christian McCaffrey. Who's your next favorite, Craig?
Speaking of PPR monsters, Saquon Barkley. He had 16 targets in this game against the Cowboys. This was a dud of a game. And Saquon still scored almost 25 fantasy points, okay, just off of 14 receptions and 80 yards. The New York Giants have a weak offensive line. They're going to be dumping it to Saquon Barkley in garbage time down all year. Sign me up for some Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, no, agree. Saquon's going to get some good targets. I skipped right over my main man this week, and that's Todd Gurley. I mentioned how I like Jared Goff, but I also mentioned Jared's one of my cheaper guys that I like. So if you need to save money, then cool. But my favorite running back, other than Kamara, I'm with Craig on that, but right under him, he is rightfully so. The $300 discount is fine with me. Todd Gurley at home in Los Angeles. It is going to be a battle between those two this week. Gurley's just he's a monster. We know what it is. He's at home in Los Angeles here, going against the Chargers. Great matchup for Gurley. He always gets those consistent attempts. We know that. And he just gets touchdowns. He's just touchdown Gurley from now on. That's what we call him. Not even Todd, touchdown Gurley. Okay, I love Todd Gurley here for sure. I wanted to go ahead and mention one of my cheaper guys that I love. We're going to touch on now that we touched on Alvin Kamara and Todd Gurley and even Christian McCaffrey. Chris Thompson. Absolutely love Chris Thompson. Love him. Okay, I stretched out the love because I want you guys to fully understand. I love Chris Thompson this week against Green Bay. Like I said when I talked about Alex Smith, okay, the game flow for this game. Aaron Rodgers is obviously going to put a lot of points on the board, and Washington's going to have to throw to keep up. Alex Smith is in an amazing position here to get Chris Thompson involved. I think Chris Thompson gets heavily involved. He got 14 targets last game. 14. I absolutely love Chris Thompson. He is going to be my guy this week. Craig, who's your cheap guy?
That is an aggressive love, and I aggressively love that call. But for a little bit cheaper, $400 less, I'm going to fall to Gio Bernard. We already know Joe Mixon's going to miss this week, okay? Gio Bernard has shown flashes every time that Mixon is out, whenever he gets the lead role in that backfield for Cincinnati.
And he's a pass catcher.
He's a pass catching back, and this should be a game in which is competitive, and hopefully Cincy is going to maybe get behind a little bit and need to abandon the run game and maybe throw some more balls.
Either
out
way,
of
he's
Gio.
getting heavily involved, dude.
He's game script independent if Joe Mixon is out as the lead back. So sign me up.
I absolutely love him. I read something earlier that he ran for 208 rushing yards. He got 133 receiving yards on 16 catches and 2 touchdowns in 3 games when Mixon was injured last year.
Yeah.
So that's just great numbers for Giovanni. Giovanni's an amazing option. I love him too, Craig. Absolutely. My guy I got to go with, and I'm sticking with last week. I talked about him last week, and I'm sticking with the New Orleans-Atlanta game. Tevin Coleman. Devontae Freeman out. Tevin's still going to get all the love there at running back. I just love the whole offense in general. Coleman is still priced good for the amount of touches he's going to be getting and the amount of targets he'll even get in the pass game here in this matchup. I love Tevin Coleman. Absolutely. Last but not least, who is your last running back that you love here, Craig?
All right, my last one, and he's kind of a value. I really like his price, even though it's been moving up, but it's been moving up for good reason, and that's Matt Breida. In that San Francisco-Kansas City total, I just love the game flow and game script for Matt Breida the way that I'm seeing it. I think Kansas City is going to be up. Matt Breida is going to be the guy. He's got superior skills over Alfred Morris. He's a better pass catcher. I think Matt Breida is in a good spot with this game script and game flow.
Totally with you. That's one of the higher totals on the slate. If it is the highest total.
It is the highest.
Yeah,
yep.
It's the highest total. So I'm totally with you on any part of that. Breida, he's going to get involved in the pass game. All that good stuff. Keep eye out on the injuries, guys. Keep an eye out on Leonard Fournette still. See if our boy Yeldon's going to get some play there. Dalvin Cook, keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on LaShawn McCoy as well. Just wanted to touch on that. One more guy I just want to mention before we go on to wide receiver, Lamar Miller. I kind of like his situation here. At home in Houston, I think that offense is going to put it to New York. I think they could get up and it could be a lot of Lamar Miller. I can see 20 touches out of Lamar Miller this week. And I could see about 20 touches, 80 yards, and 2 TDs. I would not be surprised if he's able to get a few when they're close to in the red zone in there. I know Lamar Miller's not a super exciting guy to play, but he is their bell cow for Houston, and at 5,000, he can end up returning some good value for you guys as well. All right, let's go ahead. Craig, didn't you want to say something about your boy Lindsey?
I did want to throw his name out there because I just think he's doing better than Freeman right now, and I like him as a GPP play. And there's one other guy we got to keep an eye on, Melvin Gordon's injury. I don't know if it's serious or not, but he is questionable right now. But if for some reason he were to miss, Austin Eckler at 4,400
He's a
should
pass
be
catcher.
locked.
He's a pass catcher. He's the Danny Woodhead. You know what I'm saying? I already talked about that before. He's a great option.
Yes,
I'm with you. All right, wide receiver. I'm going to touch on my favorite wide receiver because I just absolutely love him, and that's Michael Thomas. Like, guys, you can see kind of where I'm staying right here. Okay, me and Craig both love the San Francisco-Kansas City game, and then right under that is New Orleans-Atlanta, and then Green Bay-Washington. Those are pretty much the 3 games we're heavily targeting, correct, Craig?
Yes, I agree with
those
that
are the
statement.
main games. I think Alex Smith is able to keep up with Aaron Rodgers. I wouldn't be surprised if Rodgers goes out and smashes, but Washington's at home. I would expect him to come in and put up a fight against Green Bay. But Michael Thomas, in this matchup against Atlanta, Atlanta's defense is just beaten up, and they've never been good versus the pass anyways. Michael Thomas should have an amazing game. I'm pairing him in my Drew Brees lines. I absolutely love him.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. If you're playing Drew Brees, you're playing Michael Thomas. But same thing with me. Mahomes is the captain of my Hall Pass list, so Tyreek Hill. Okay, I know it was kind of a dud game for him. He only got 6 targets. He secured 5 of them for 90 yards and got that touchdown, thankfully. But, man, he is a freak of nature. He can break one anytime he touches the ball, and he's just got such good upside.
He's a monster.
He is almost a must in your GPPs for his huge upside. Right. But I want to touch on one more, okay, and it's his teammate, Sammy Watkins. Okay, this last game, man, Sammy just had 7 targets, got 6 receptions, got the 100 yards. He didn't get that touchdown, but the way that Mahomes is slinging it around the field, everybody is in play for him, okay?
Yep.
And we'll get to tight ends in a minute, but Sammy, Tyreek, anybody that plays on their team with Mahomes, you can damn near play in GPP.
Yeah. And since you're staying with that same game, I'm gonna go ahead and stick in the same game too. Julio Jones and Michael Thomas are the number one offensive players in this game. I mean, maybe Kamara can be debated. But
Yeah.
Michael Thomas and Julio Jones. Julio is going to have a big game here, I'm telling you right now. Okay, and this is not the Falcons' love in me. Okay, we just know Julio Jones is a monster. He has yet to have just a ridiculous game this year, and he's due. He's due for a big one, and this is the matchup where he's going to do it against New Orleans. You
Dude,
know what
look
I'm
at
saying?
that savings.
I mean, dude, it's just at 7-9. Like,
Yeah.
he is 1,000 less than Michael Thomas. So
Yeah.
I love Julio Jones. I got to get involved with Julio. I'm going to go also T.Y. Hilton. We haven't talked much about the Colts game too much, but I think that's a sneaky game to keep an eye on. Ty also has some great upside with those big playability, kind of like Tyreek. He's just not on Tyreek's level, but he's like a little Tyreek. But Ty Hilton, he's shown he can have those big plays. Andrew Luck loves him. That's obvious. So T.Y. Hilton is a guy who I absolutely love in this game against Philly, who's getting Carson Wentz back. And they should go ahead and move the ball pretty well. I think Carson Wentz is going to come back and do fairly well here at home. I think he comes back and wants to show himself and show off. So I think it's going to be a good game here. So, yeah, I love T.Y. Hilton. And do you want to go ahead and give your last few guys, Craig?
Yeah, so speaking of T.Y. Hilton, I'll take your T.Y. Hilton now. Raise you one Nelson Agholor.
There you go.
All right,
I
you
love
just
him.
brought Carson
Yeah.
Wentz back, and he's set to start again. All right, if Indy and Philly can go off the way that these quarterbacks can,
Yeah.
I think Agholor, especially with Alshon Jeffrey still out, they lost Mike Wallace now, so the wide receiving core for Philly is depleted right now. So Nelson Agholor, okay, is a great play at 6,100.
Yeah, and speaking of Philly's depletion, give your value play of the week that you've been telling me about nonstop. Go ahead, just break it down.
Okay, all right. So with that injury to Mike Wallace, all right, no Alshon Jeffrey. We're assuming he's not going to be ready for this game. I am loving me some Kamara Aiken. I am aching to play Aiken, boy.
I mean, hey, at
listen.
3.5, that is
3.5.
pretty spectacular value. I like that.
Dude,
I like that idea.
he caught 5 of 6 targets for only 39 yards. But okay, look, they're gonna need to pass, and Carson Wentz is gonna want to play with his toys right now. You know, he's got some used toys. You know,
Right.
he doesn't got no bright, shiny new toys.
Yeah.
But he's gonna have fun playing with Kamara Aiken this week.
I'm definitely with you, dude. And my last receiver that I'm going to go with, I had to go ahead and give you your. I know you've been so excited about him.
Thank you.
My guy is Devin Funchess. I got to touch on him just because Carolina is so depleted offensively. They just need people to step up, and Devin Funchess is that guy. He got 9 targets last game. For 77 yards. I expect him to get in the end zone here in this matchup against Cincinnati. I absolutely love it. Like I said, I think this Carolina-Cincinnati game stays fairly close. There's a lot of games on this slate that look like they're going to stay pretty close. I think there's going to be some good down-to-the-wire games this weekend. So I'm pretty excited about that. But this is one of them I think is going to be good. Obviously, on the other side, A.J. Green is my guy. I have him in my season-long lineups. Obviously, if you have him in your season-long league, you start him. Okay, in DFS, I think he's more of a GPP. I don't think you need to go there in cash. I think there's some other cash game guys like the guys we've mentioned already. But I love Devin Funchess in cash this week at that price where he's getting heavy targets at 5,000 in a game where they're going to have to throw and keep up with Cincy.
Yeah, one other guy that I just wanted to note to pair with my run back of Mahomes, and that's Pierre Garcon. There's still, I think we're going to be missing Goodwin again this week. Yeah. Pierre Garcon as the number one, battling back to try to keep up in that Kansas City game and that highest total of the week. I just think Pierre Garcon at 5,300 is a great cash game play and a GPP play.
I'm with you on that. I'm going to go ahead and start off with tight end. I'm going to go ahead and start the tight end off. My favorite tight end is Zach Ertz we mentioned a minute ago, Carson Wentz is back. Carson Wentz's number one option on this offense is Zach Ertz. Okay,
Yeah.
Ertz is going to be heavily used. Okay, which kind of explains his super high price this weekend. I mean, right there
Yeah.
at the top. I mean, I absolutely love Ertz at 6'8". Absolutely. I mean, between him and Kelce, they're real close. But I absolutely love Zach Ertz. And my two value guys I love is Evan Ingram for the Giants in this matchup. I love him versus Houston, seeing that the Giants' offensive line is struggling. Okay, you saw Eli Manning's face he made when he kept getting knocked down by Dallas. That face was probably the scared. He was so scared. I've never seen anybody that scared and ready to retire in my life.
No, that's just his.
He
That's
almost
just
pulled
his
a
normal face, man.
Dude,
he suffers from. He's always suffered from dumb face.
yeah, dude, he almost pulled a Vontae Davis and retired
Oh
halftime.
God, I know. I wouldn't have blamed him.
Dude, yeah. Anyways, hey, and by the way, Vontae Davis retiring at halftime for Buffalo makes Buffalo even worse. Okay, Vontae was obviously getting a little older, which is part of the reason he retired. He's like, screw this. I'm not going to even sit here and put my body to work anymore for a team that I just can't win with. So he just retired. I don't approve of it. I think it was kind of a stupid move to just leave his teammates like that, but he did it, and Eli almost did it too. But Evan Ingram's going to be his safety valve. He's going to check down to Evan Ingram often on those short little routes. The tight end's going to be chilling and to help him out a little bit. He's going to need that a lot. Same thing with Saquon Barkley, like Craig talked about earlier with Saquon Barkley. That's another plus for Barkley. That offensive line is so bad, there's going to be a lot of dump-offs to Barkley. So I like that. And then Austin Hooper. Like I said, love the New Orleans-Atlanta game. Hooper is going to get more and more and more integrated into this offense. I like Hooper as a touchdown guy in the red zone. So does Matt Ryan. So, yeah, Austin Hooper is a great, great, great option for me at tight end. Go ahead and mention your tight ends, Craig.
Okay, well, of course, I'm going with my boy Travis Kelce. The dude just looked like him and Patrick Mahomes are in love. All right,
Love it.
they're Tom Brady and
Yeah.
Gronk. All right, that's what they're trying to do. I mean, he caught 7 of 10 targets for 109 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'm not expecting that kind of level of performance, but would it surprise me? No. I love Travis Kelce. All right,
Let me
moving right
ask
along.
you this. Let me ask you this real quick before you move on. With the way that the matchups are for these cheaper value guys, are you leaning more towards spending up at tight end this week with Ertz and Kelce being so far ahead of the rest?
I'm leaning that way if we have the value.
Yeah.
It just depends on roster construction. Like if you're paying up at QB and if you pay up at running back, then you're not going to be able to do that. So it just depends on if we find the value for running back.
If it comes down to it and you're aching for value, you know who you can go, right? Kamara Aiken. Yep.
Yeah. All right. I'm down with that for sure. No, I love it. But no, so Jordan Reed, you mentioned it before, but Jordan Reed trying to run back Green Bay. We all know Green Bay's going to put up some points. Is Washington going to be able to keep up? All right, that is a good recipe for Jordan Reed. While he's healthy, he is always worthy of consideration to be played.
Yeah.
And then my last guy, I'm going back to Mr. George Kittle in the run back with Garoppolo. I know he disappointed us last week. Okay,
Yeah.
that's going to happen from the tight end position, especially with guys that aren't Gronk and Kelce and whatnot. So the tight end variance is going to happen, but I think this is a good bounce back for Kittle. I mean, I can't believe I don't like that he got a price raise even though he dudded, but that might actually keep people off of him. And I just really like pairing him and Garoppolo up, especially in some GPPs in that run back. I love stacking the hell out of that game, and stacking Kittle is a good way to get some cheap value inside that game.
I have some big love for Kittle, man. I mean, if you think about it, Garoppolo learned from Brady, right? Brady's main target was Gronk. So he kind of got raised into, leaning on your tight end. And so I think that, Kittle's going to be heavily involved. I think a lot of people might go off of him after dudding when he was so highly owned. But I wouldn't be too scared with going back to him in this matchup versus KC. All right, Craig, let's touch on defenses real quick. Really, when it comes to defense, there's so many amazing options that we're really – I mean, me and Craig pretty much have three teams we're debating on. I mean, that's pretty much where it's staying. My favorite defense is the Vikings against Buffalo. It's not even, I mean, it's a little close for me, but I mean, the Vikings are just so far and away, they're in such an amazing position to just dominate Buffalo. First of all, LaShawn McCoy's banged up. He might not even play. That's their best player on offense. Okay?
Yeah.
Without LaShawn McCoy, Vikings are probably going to win 100-0. Okay? and 80 of those points are defensive.
Yeah,
Pick sixes. Okay? Vikings are going to score the most out of any defense on the slate this week. It's pretty much damn near 100% guaranteed. So if you have the money, then go 4-3. But if you don't have the money, who is some cheaper options that you like, Craig?
Okay, and that's exactly the issue, is that 4-3 price is so high for the Vikings. I love them, and they're at home against the worst team. And I'm still picking Minnesota for my survivor pick. I'm picking against Buffalo every week. But my favorite defense, the Bears.
Yeah.
All right, the Bears
Yeah.
with Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
All right, these guys are just playing amazing right now. They scored 14 against Green Bay at Green Bay. They just smashed Seattle. Okay, they are going up against the worst team. Well, next to Buffalo, okay. Buffalo,
Arizona
I agree,
sucks.
is the
I'm
worst.
with you, for
Arizona
sure.
is bad right
Yeah.
now, okay. And Chicago is going to just smash Arizona. They're going to get to Bradford. There's a reason why Arizona is so bad right now, and that's because their offensive line is just not good. So I love the Bears at that 800 savings that we get from the Vikings. It's going to be hard for me to get off the Bears.
Speaking of the Bears, I'm really considering benching David Johnson in my season long this week. Because, I mean, dude, against the Bears, like, Khalil Mack is going to be just all over him like just a slice of bread on a sandwich. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. I can't believe that I'm even thinking about that. But David Johnson is
crazy.
probably going to be benched, and it's just flabbergasting. And I never use that word, but I'm flabbergasted.
And you have LaShawn McCoy too, so you're kind of screwed. I think you have to play David Johnson.
I'm gonna have I'm gonna have two unknown guys as my running backs that I've never even heard of. Okay, the Texans are the other defense I'm gonna go with. I like their value at 2.8. They're super cheap. This is if you need to save at defense. The Texans against the Giants, as we saw, the Giants' offensive line is garbage. Saquon Barkley is very good. Odell Beckham's very good. Eli Manning is close to retiring if he gets sacked one more time. But that chance is there. Eli might retire at halftime, and when he does, Houston's going to just dominate. And either way, Houston's going to dominate. At 2.8, they're my favorite cheap defense if you need to save some money and spend up elsewhere. I would not mind you going the Texans at home in Houston, where Watson should be putting up points against this Giants defense. This Giants team is just one of the bottom in the league. Their offense is not putting up points. I expect some sacks here in this game, and I expect Houston's Texans to return some good value at 2.8. And that's pretty much it, guys. Those are our defensive guys we like. We touched on all our favorite plays at the wide receivers, gave you some good value, guys, options to go with. This is our first look, and like I told you in the beginning of the video, we are going to give you a first look lineup. So I'm going to read these players off to you, write them down, do whatever you got to do, rewind, whatever, whatever you need to do, pause it. We're going to have it on the screen right now. You'll be able to see the lineup, but I'm going to read them out to you. Matt Ryan. Okay, in that game against New Orleans, you guys know I love him. He's at home in Atlanta, and he's only 5'7". That gives us some good savings. Matt Breida, like Craig loved, absolutely on board with that. In this high-scoring total against Kansas City, absolutely love it. Chris Thompson, okay? We already know Aaron Rodgers is putting up points, guys. Chris Thompson is a great receiver out of the backfield for Washington. Julio Jones to pair with my boy Matt Ryan. I don't even need to explain. That's obvious against New Orleans. Love him. Sammy Watkins, Craig's value guy that he absolutely loves, and I am on board with that. He's only 5'1". Mahomes is going to be throwing a lot here in this game. This game should stay close. I love Sammy Watkins in this matchup. I would expect our boy Sherman to be on Hill as much as possible. Obviously, they're going to be moving Hill around, but I would expect Sherman to kind of see a lot of Tyreek. That might open some good plays for Sammy Watkins here in this matchup. So I love Sammy Watkins. Kamar Aiken. Uncle Craig is aching to play some Kamara. And honestly, I'm with him on it at 3.5. Amazing price. Like we said, their receiving core is depleted. Alshon's most likely out, but keep an eye on that. You've got Mike Wallace out. They don't have many options. They got Ertz. But like Craig said, Wentz is going to come in. He's going to be looking for some toys to play with, and Kamara Aiken could end up being one of those very good sneaky plays at 3.5. We really don't need too much out of him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, honestly, and Kamara kind of keeps those routes pretty short. That's another good thing for Wentz. His first game back, he's going to be looking for the shorter routes. He's going to like those little comfort plays with Kamara Aiken. So I like Kamara Aiken at 3.5. Travis Kelce. I absolutely love Ertz, but I'm just going to save the 100 and go Kelce. I love Kelce here in this matchup against San Francisco. Craig already explained why. It's obvious. High total. Love Kelce with Mahomes.
All those people playing Mahomes, okay, we get two pieces of that, Watkins and Kelce. So Mahomes isn't going to kill us.
Exactly.
Even though we couldn't get up to him.
Yeah, exactly. And then Gio Bernard. Craig mentioned him. Me and Craig both love Gio Bernard here with Joe Mixon out. Like I said, I named the numbers earlier. Giovanni was putting up numbers without Mixon last year. Giovanni is a great pass-catching back, which also is amazing because it's Draftkings PPR. Highly consider Giovanni Bernard in that flex position at 5'9". Great value, great play. He's going to be starting, and he's going to be highly used in that Cincinnati offense. Last but not least, the Bears. We love the Bears in this matchup against Arizona, one of the worst offenses in the league. We honestly think Mac is going to just wreak havoc here in this matchup. Absolutely love the Bears, and that's it, guys. A very solid first look lineup. Go to greenlightdfs.com if you want to join the squad officially. Obviously, after all of the research and everything that goes through the week, we're going to definitely zone in and make sure it is absolutely perfect, but we wanted to give you guys something real nice to get that first look in and play around with. All right, so that's it, guys. Thank you for joining me as always, Craig. Appreciated the time with you, man. Thank you guys for watching as always, and we're out.
Peace.